I studied the minutest details to finally find the answers for the lost city of Atlantis. Did it exist? Where is the location of this marvelous wonder? Were the Atlanteans aliens? Did the Atlanteans transfer themselves to the hollow earth? You will know it as we run through every nerdy detail of Atlantis. Hello, I'm your host, AM, and this is my quest for Atlantis. The story of Atlantis, as you might have heard, originates from Plato's dialogues in his book Timaeus, which he learnt from his uncle Solon. Philosopher Solon was one of the seven sages of Greece. His political mastery, statesmanship, and lawmaking helped lay down the foundations of Athenian democracy. But there's a plot twist. Solon didn't write these laws originally, he learned them from ancient Egypt. It was Amasis, also who made the law that every Egyptian should yearly declare his means of livelihood to the ruler of his province, and failing so to do, or to prove that he had a just way of life, be punished with death. Solon the Athenian got this law from Egypt and established among his people. May they ever keep it, for it is a perfect law. During his time in Egypt, Solon had visited a city known as Sais in the Egyptian district of Saitic. It was where he interacted with priests who disclosed ancient history which neither he nor his people had ever heard of. In the delta of Egypt, where at its head the stream of the Nile parts into, there is a certain district called Saitic. The chief city in this district is Sais, the home of King Amasis. The founder of Sais, they say, is a goddess whose Egyptian name is Neith and Athena in Greek, as they claim. These people profess to be great lovers of Athens and in a measure akin to our people here. And Solon said that when he traveled there, he was held in great regard among them. Moreover, when he was questioning their priests that were most versed in ancient lore about their early history, he discovered that neither he himself nor any other Greek knew anything at all, one might say, about such matters. Among all the witty chit chat, Plato encountered an old priest, the one who told Plato about the citizens of old, about the laws of the past, about an ancient civilization that existed 9,000 years ago. The priest then said, I will gladly tell you the story, Solon, both for your own sake and for the sake of your city. But most of all, I will tell it for the sake of the goddess who has adopted for her both your land and our land, and has nurtured and trained them. Your city was founded first, when she had received the seed of you from Gay and Hephaistos, and 1,000 years later, ours was founded. The duration of our civilization, as set down in our sacred writings, is 8,000 years. Snippet of information: Gay here represents Gaia, the Greek personification for Earth, the primordial goddess, and Hephaistos is the Olympian god of fire, hence representing every natural phenomena that is related to fire, and he is the god to all artisans who are related to working with fire. The old priest continued to describe the enormity of the civilization the citizens of old had created. Enormity not just in sense of land size or military, enormity in perspective of society too. He added how their civilizations had borrowed laws from the past and how they were still in use to that day. Then the old priest started to recite a lore to Solon about an ancient battle fought between the Greeks and the Atlanteans, where the Greeks had resisted the mighty force of the Atlanteans and saved their lands from being enslaved. Let me recite the lore to you. But for my ADHD folks, an increase in video speed is highly recommended. And if you want to skip the whole thing, here's the timestamp to go to the next statement.
It is related in our records how once upon a time your city withstood a mighty host, which, starting from a distant point in the Atlantic Ocean, was insolently advancing to attack the whole of Europe and Asia as well. For the ocean there was at that time navigable. For in front of the mouth, which you Greeks call, as you say, the Pillars of Herakles, there was an island which was larger than Lydia and Asia together. It was possible for the travelers of that time to cross from it to the other islands, and from the islands to the whole of the continent opposite them, which encompasses the veritable ocean. For all that we have here, lying within the mouth of which we speak, is evidently a haven having a narrow entrance, but that over there is a real ocean, and the land surrounding it may most rightly be called, in the fullest and truest sense, a continent. Now, in this island of Atlantis, there existed a confederation of kings with great and marvelous power, who held sway over all the island, over many other islands, and over parts of the continent. Moreover, of the lands here, within the straits, they ruled over Lydia as far as Egypt, and over Europe as far as Tuscany. So, this host, being all gathered together, made an attempt one time to enslave by one single military campaign both your country and ours, as well as the whole territory within the straits. At that time, Solon, your city displayed its courage and might in the view of the whole world, for it stood preeminent above all in bravery and military skills, acting partly as leader of the Greeks, and partly standing alone by itself, when deserted by all others, and after encountering the deadliest of perils, it defeated the invaders and raised a trophy. By this action, it saved from slavery those who were not yet enslaved, and all the rest of us, who dwell within the bounds of Heracles, it set free without hesitation. But a later time, there occurred ominous earthquakes and floods. One grievous day and night, the whole group of your warriors was swallowed up by the earth, and the island of Atlantis, in like manner, was swallowed up by the sea and vanished. As a result, the ocean at that spot has now become impassable and unsearchable, being blocked up by the shoal mud, which the island created as it settled down.
I hope you loved listening to this ancient lore. Me myself loved reading it. Now, what can we decipher from this extract? What clues does it provide so that we can pinpoint the exact location of the island of Atlantis? Let's dwell in. Since the story of Atlantis is solely based on Solon's conversation with that old priest, we will completely based on Plato's Timaeus to find out where this mystery island is. For that, we are gonna enlist every name of the places mentioned in this little extract. For this segment, I might just look down at my laptop like this and talk to you. I hope you don't mind. First, the Atlantic Ocean. Where do we know about the Atlantic Ocean? We know it from Plato, of course, and then we know it from reconstructed ancient maps. This one is special because this one is 2500 years old and it was cartographed by Herodotus, yes, philosopher Herodotus himself. Next, the Pillars of Herakles, or the Pillars of Hercules, that's what they said. This is nothing but the Strait of Gibraltar. Next, we have Tuscany. Tuscany is still present in the northwestern Italy. Next, we have Asia. So, Asia, we have heard about Asia many times in this extract. It is not the Asia we know about today because it was not cartographed back then. The world had not been explored like that. It is Asia Minor, which is a large peninsula and constitutes of Asian parts of Turkey. Next, we have Libya or Lydia. This is the empire of Sardis, which was taken up by the Persian Empire later. It includes, let me see this now. It refers to the present day of Morocco, Algeria, Tunisia, Libya, Egypt, and northern parts of Sudan, Chad, Niger, and Mali. I hope I could provide you the idea of the world that was described to Solon by the old priest. Now the main question. Where is Atlantis? It can't be in mainland Europe, nor in the Strait of Gibraltar, nor in the Mediterranean Sea, nor in Africa, because the priest clearly says it's larger than Lydia and Asia together. It's a continent. To sink a continent, you need a lot of water. The next clue might just tell us where this lot of water came from. Your city withstood a mighty host, which starting from a distant point in the Atlantic Ocean. Atlantis existed in a distant point in the Atlantic Ocean. Let's make that absolutely clear. And let's see what our next clue tells us. The next clue pops out when the priest says, the ocean at that spot has now become impossible and unsearchable, being blocked up by the shoal mud which the island created as it settled down. The words to highlight here are shoal mud, which according to Wikipedia is a natural submerged ridge, bank, or bar that consists of or is covered by sand or other unconsolidated material and rises from the bed of a body of water close to the surface or above it. Hence the next task is easy. Let's enlist every goddamn shoal present in the Atlantic Ocean. This is gonna be interesting. These are all the shoals present in the Atlantic Ocean. Mind you, the data is very limited. First, the Nantucket Islands. Next, the Sable Islands of Canada. Next, the whole of Bahamas is a massive shoal. Next, the Isle of Shoals. And there were some submerged plateaus, but they don't make the cut. That's it. I hope you have understood what a shoal is. But there's a major problem. These are little and are close to the coastline of US and Canada. Supercontinent of Atlantis? I couldn't find a single shoal or a single submerged plateau that could define it, and the lack of data makes it worse. But, along the Atlantic seabed runs a series of fracture zones and transform faults. These are the epicenters of massive earthquakes that can occur at any point of time due to the shifting and movement of tectonic plates. I guess you know where I'm going with this. To my supposition, if the myth of Atlantis is true, the massive supercontinent must have fallen prey to one of these devastating earthquakes, and the tectonic plates must have crushed the Atlantean landscape brutally, and the whole thing disappeared within moments. But if you are a hollow earth believer, things might be a bit different for you. I'm just saying.